Hi, this is Bobby from PassionofACritic, and I'll be reviewing Deborah Granick's film Winter's Bone, starring Jennifer Lawrence. This film has won the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance Festival and is bound to win a lot of prizes at the Oscars, Golden Globes, and BAFTAs, from acting to cinematography, you name it. This film is centered on a family living in the Ozarks. And the main protagonist, which we never really see, but the story centers around him, is called Jessup. He's a meth producer and seller, and the law has again caught up with him, and he has put his house on bail. He fails to show up for the hearing, and so his family fails, losing the house, which is pretty sad because they don't have much besides the house. And even with the house, they're suffering a lot. Basically, their livestock suffer from starvation, and they need the help of their neighbors as much as they can to actually feed themselves. So their conditions are not good even with the house, and God knows what they can do without it. Where will they live, and how they're going to survive? Jessup's daughter, Ree, is 17, and she doesn't go to school, and she takes care of the children. Jessup has a wife, but she seems to have dementia, maybe, and she really can't take care of the kids. She's responsive in the medically, but she doesn't seem to know her children. She doesn't seem able to respond to any of their needs, or just respond, even talk. We don't hear her saying anything in the film. So Ree is the caretaker of the family. The children, the younger children, she has two siblings, a young brother and sister. They actually see her as the mother figure. There's a scene in the film which revolves them eating food, and the young son, her brother, comes to her and asks her what will they have. I mean, actually, the mother is sitting next to them, but they don't avoid her, but they know she can't do anything. So she almost seems like an object, a living object that walks, but they can get no affection, and they can get no emotional response from her. So Ree has to go and find her father, or they're gonna lose the house. She has to make him show up, and she's surrounded by family members who, unsurprisingly, are into the same drug business. She has to go ask them where he's been, because though they're family, they all have a violent past, and the person on top of the food chain in the family, he's chubby, he's ignorant, he's violent, and he's up there, and he has henchmen. He has his family are his henchmen, and they take care of him, and they surround him, and everyone else has their little disputes, and they can be violent toward each other. But the higher they get, the chain tightens, and there's more respect, and there's more need of respect, because who knows who might disappear, and who'll make, and maybe the people who are higher in the food chain in the family will make the people in the lower food chain disappear. And so she has to go and basically ask these really violent people who want nothing to do with her, and who want nothing to do with the situation, to help out. And it's really not, as you might, when the film starts, you kind of think, based on her background, this is going to be a really violent film when she's going to hold the gun and start shooting people. But it's really not that. She basically has to go out and just start talking to these people, actually find them and make them talk. Actually, she doesn't even succeed in talking to a lot of them. And the people she meets are unimportant. Actually, they don't know much, and they're usually female, and that's kind of interesting. I think it really talks about actually the submission of the female in the family. That actually the female kind of takes care of the male. It's kind of like their family, but they're kind of like their secretary. They come out of the house and they actually go talk to him, and it's kind of they're the lord. It's kind of a lord and servant attitude. The females are the servants in the family, and you can see it in a lot of a good portion of the film. For example, Teardrop, her uncle, who starts out as a really annoying character, really as annoying and subversive as everyone else in the family, but you eventually like him because he stands up for Ree. he treats his wife like trash, but everyone does. But that's the one incident you see it in the film where you see actually, yeah, it is patriarchal. This is a really minimal film in scope. It really surrounds finding information about her father. And really, as much as the ending is important, as much the conclusion we're all waiting for, it's really about the character. This is a real actor's film. And Ree's character is really fascinating because she's really masculine. And besides being the parent figure of her brothers and sisters, she's really masculine. And she helps her brother, she shows him how to hold a rifle, how to shoot, how to skin an animal. It's really, she's an excellent character because she doesn't go to school. She needs to take care of her siblings, and it's shown that she's really embraced this kind of life, or maybe just known that this is the only thing she has, and she needs to get used to it. And it really shows she's the only character in the family who doesn't get dominated by the males. She has a friend who she visits, who she needs her car, she needs her husband's truck, her friend's husband's truck to find her father, and the friend really can't do anything because her husband won't allow her to get the truck, and he really treats her like trash. And she really asks him, why do you let him treat you like this? And it's kind of like a question that she's kind of insulted by, as if this is my life, don't come into my life and critique it. This is my life and I'll deal with it. It's really kind of like, this is how things are. I enjoy my life, I enjoy my son, I enjoy my husband, even though I'm in an abusive relationship, verbally, or maybe even physically, though we don't see it on screen. Rhea is played by Jennifer Lawrence, who really, she's not a newcomer, she's been in a lot of films, one starring Charlize Theron, which I can't really remember the name of right now, but she really shows herself in this and will probably get an Oscar nomination because of how good she plays the role, and she's really determined. And I think, as I read on Wikipedia, it really was an arduous project, and she really did do a lot of the physical tasks that she does in the film. And I think besides being a good performance, it's really a good role, and it's a good female role. Actually, I think if the elder figure that searched out for the father was a male, it would not work, because of the male you don't really think of them trying their best talking to these people, and if the talk fail, they just have nothing to do anymore. You kind of think of the male as like picking up a gun and starts just hunting down these people who he wants to talk to. But the female, you don't really expect it, because you expect them to know the condition, know the politics of the family, and to be wiser. And she is wiser. And I don't think you would, if a male character, after he couldn't succeed in talking to the important characters in the family, gave up, he seemed like weak, but she seems reasonable. So I think it's really good that it's a female character, and it really works. And because she knows her limits, she doesn't overstep them. Well, she does in one instance, and she really gets physically beaten for it. But besides that, she really knows when to leave and when she's just said enough. Teardrop is Rhee's uncle, but you would never guess it if it wasn't mentioned in the film, because like every other character, he's distrusted by Rhee, and everyone distrusts each other, unless besides the henchmen that work for the main gangster of the family. And there's really no emotion between these two, and even when Rhee finds that he's helping her for no benefit and possibly danger to himself, she's still not really, she doesn't respond to him like a family member. She responds to him just like any other stranger that might help her. Of course, it's her uncle. She's seen him for years, but she's seen so much illegal activity. She's seen so much sabotage in the family that she doesn't think she can trust anyone. And though eventually the relationship becomes a bit nicer, you never see any embrace. You never see a smile on their face when they're talking to each other. It's that the family is that torn. And despite everything everyone else says, it's not torn by drugs. That's really a misconception. They're not torn by drugs. They're torn by power. Everyone's wants power in this family. And unfortunately, some people have got there and got the power, and no one else seems to be able to get that power. They can struggle. The lower sex in the family can struggle, and some can just overpower others. But they can't but once they overpower their equals, they can't go higher. They can't overpower the people that are higher in the family, and that's why it's really like in mafia. It's really you respect the higher people simply because you need them, rather than there's a necessary bond between you. And Teardrop is played by John Hawkes, who also does a great job, especially in the scene with the policeman while they're in the car, and he actually threatens the officer. And it's a great role, and I think it's a great performance also. And I think he'll get a nomination, but I'm pretty sure he's not gonna win because it's despite how good it's done, it's quite minimal in scope. And despite Lawrence's performance, which I think she has a really good chance of winning, with all the performances I've seen this year, it's possibly the best, and it's the most contained also. It's not this crazy kind of like female version of Heath Ledger's The Joker. It's really contained. That sometimes the contained roles are a lot harder to do, and you really realize how being contained and being subdued and being positive and being a good force is really harder than just going crazy. The Joker or Anthony Hopkins' character in The Silence of the Lambs. Despite everything that's great about this film, and despite even though it has meager goals, and it's really an action film, it also has some problems, which really aren't really important. But the most fundamental problem, it really comes during the ending, when you finally find out about her father and where he was or what happened to him. I'm not going to give anything away, but there's something odd about it, because the people who know about him, the people who eventually help her out to find her father in whatever condition he may be, actually take her to him, which is really a stupid thing to do. It's kind of like if you took someone as hostage. If someone took you as hostage and your parents paid the ransom, it would be like the criminals actually driving your parents to their hideout, revealing themselves, and their location. You never want to do that, because the police might be also following you. You want to just drop off the hostage at some place, as is done in most films. So it's really stupid, because these people could just make him show up somewhere, just make him arrive at some location and just tell Ree where he is. But they don't, and they actually just reveal themselves, which seems very stupid and acted. But besides that, I think this is a really good film, and though it has, I've seen some people and some critics talk about it, that it's about poverty and it's about drugs, but really it's about empowerment of a female character who doesn't get down in this male world where every other female character is kind of dominated by the male, and actually kind of has accepted that the male is in power. She really goes out of her way to find them, and just is not in any way scared or fearful to the degree that she's going to abandon her path because of these kind of very scary characters, her family members, who really can harm her. She really tries to find her father, and it's not really for the father's sake. It's really for everyone else's sake. I think she's really sick of her father and what she's gotten them into, but she really knows that through him she can save her family, and she eventually needs to do it, or else they're going to be in worse conditions than they already are, which is probably homelessness. I would rate this film an A-, and recommend it to anyone who wants to see a nicely done film with great acting, great cinematography, and great direction, set in the